short it off. All right. Welcome, welcome. How y'all doing today? Um, Glad to be here today. I'm excited. I got another special guest in the building. You guys know this is my 27th Tech Talk. So I'm gonna keep rolling with these videos, trying to find different people that are in the IT field, working in different positions. And hold on, I got lot of feedback. I had to fix that, but um, I'm excited today. This is like I say, my 27th Tech Talk. Um, I'm super excited, man, because it's someone else in the cybersecurity field that's working that I was able to get to come on to kind of share his knowledge, and we can have a conversation about technology and different ways to get into the field and talk about his background and all that stuff. But today's special guest is John Hammond. I'm happy for him to be here. How you doing, John?
Hey, how's it going? I'm super stoked to be here with you. Thank you so much for letting me come hang out.
Yeah, no problem, man. You're always welcome. But um, so the first thing I typically like, well, first let me give a couple shout outs. I always try to do that to all the people that's coming through. I definitely appreciate you guys. Gear Z Net, you always first. Good to see you, man. Um, Lovely Angel Lady, good to see you. Network bro, what's up, man? How you doing? And Mitchell, Valentino, good to see you. He says I'm watching while at work. Awesome guest. John Hammond's channel had taught me so much. Yeah, definitely. He has a great channel, man. But uh, let's start off by allowing you to introduce yourself and give a little bit about your background, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
cool. All righty. Well, hey, thanks so much. Yeah. Hey, hi. My name's John Hammond. I work as a senior security researcher, is what they call me for some reason, over at a company called Huntress. Huntress does cybersecurity. It's a cybersecurity company, so still in the realm of like tech, everything that we do in the industry, but it's a software as a service kind of an endpoint agent that looks for hackers' footholds or like their persistence and the implants in the back door as to how the bad guys maintain access. So what I do there is kind of sharing a lot of education and still analyzing malware and like looking through the crazy stuff like actually on the keyboard. It's good to stay technical, but I also still try to do outreach and content and stuff like that.
Hmm.
That's my day job, but off on the side, I like to produce content and make stuff on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel, John Hammond, where I try to go through capture the flag videos or other cybersecurity concepts and topics. So just a lot of nerd stuff, just just a lot of geeky things that I find fun. So
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, and one of the one of the reasons I found you because of your earlier Linux content. Because my channel is strictly about Linux. I do these tech talks every now and then, just to try to bring different people in from different, you know, areas of IT, just to get their perspective. But um I remember a lot of your Linux content, from back in the day. I know you still do it, you know what I'm saying? But that's one of the things that drew me to your channel. And then also I seen you did an interview with one of the guys I follow as well, Network Chuck. So that was a super great interview. So that kind of, made me want to hit you up and try to see if I can bring you on as well. But man, so security researcher. So what does that entail? That job actually entail, other than what you've already said? If you want to expand upon it a little bit
yeah, for
more.
sure. Um, so it's interesting. There's kind of an analyst position and there's a researcher position, all within the threat ops department. Is kind of what that branch is called. So while we have this agent and endpoint that goes out and looks for, hey, on a computer or on a system and all across a network or an enterprise, it's collecting stuff like auto runs,
Mm,
the programs that might start up once your computer turns on or when you log in, stuff like Skype or Microsoft Teams or
yeah.
blah blah blah. But the bad guys, threat actors, some spooky hackers might use that as means to store code or malicious executables and stuff like that. So the agent will go and look for those and hunt them down, and it brings them into this humongous bucket.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that we have the belief in the manifesto is that like automation, yes, it is absolutely necessary. It is totally divine. We all can agree that having an automated solution is really necessary, but you can get so much more enriched information if you have human beings
Mm-hmm.
go look at the code and the malware. So hey, let's just have real people with eyeballs and the context and understanding of what's good and what's bad. They know the programming languages. They're the real security experts. So we'll dig through a lot of those and kind of walk through the payloads and the stages to see, oh, maybe this backdoor or maybe this hacker foothold was able to slip past some automated antivirus or some EDR and endpoint detection response toolkit. But hey, we were smarter than that, and we were able to drill it down, and we could tell this is really bad. So we'll notify folks and go ahead and do that. So that's part of my role at the technical level, is going through and analyzing some of that malware,
Mm-hmm.
and then a lot of education, a lot of presentations, a lot of podcasts, a lot of blog posts, and talking to reporters. It's it puts me in the spotlight, I guess, but it's super fulfilling and it's a lot of fun. So
Cool, cool, cool. Now you brought up something like very interesting that I hear a lot. I hear a lot of people say, and you didn't say this specifically, but I hear a lot of people say that automation is going to start killing off a lot of jobs. So, what are your thoughts on that? And
oh yeah, no, it's funny. It's a spicy topic, I guess.
hmm
Um, personally, you hear the buzzwords, right, between
yeah,
artificial intelligence and machine learning and yada yada. Uh, I realize and I acknowledge, hey, they have some footing. Like there is substance there, there is something there. But I guess me personally, I haven't drank the Kool-Aid yet. I am not in the camp that thinks, hey, oh, automation and AI is going to take everyone's jobs. I think we're still going to be kicking around for. I think we're still going to
hmm
be doing our tech and our security for quite some time.
okay, okay, cool, cool,
What
cool.
about you? Are you feeling, I don't know, the AI world take over?
It's, I would say, slowly coming a
Yeah.
little bit. You're starting to see it like with Jenkins popping up, Chef Puppet, all these different automation tools popping up. I've started seeing them actually in the workplace in positions that I worked for, Jenkins developers and just people that are automating specific tasks. But as far as cybersecurity, I don't know. I don't think it will fully affect the jobs, because you're still gonna have to have those eyes on the code. In my opinion, it would take years for it to get to a point where I guess the code is so automated, or the way it's scanned and all that stuff is so automated, that it can get rid of jobs. So
Yeah.
I lean with kind of what you're saying. I haven't fully drunk the Kool-Aid, but I'm starting to see it though. So
I mean the whole deep fake stuff, I know that's been floating around. Those are
mhm.
incredible to see. Some of the Boston Dynamics has crazy
Oh
cool
yeah.
stuff with the robots. I don't know.
Yeah.
uh, I don't know. But we'll see. We're still early, I think.
hmm
Plenty to do. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Now, as a security researcher, is that considered like red team or blue team
So
or?
it's interesting. I actually get this question a lot because from what a lot of folks know, kind of me on the internet, when they see my channel and they see a lot of capture the flag and kind of offensive or adversarial emulation, penetration testing and stuff like that, people would typically put me more on the red team, and I kind of agree with them because I feel a little bit more, I guess, adversarial. I like the offense. Um, but my day job is a role that I guess puts me on the blue team. Like it's a
hmm
defensive thing. We're talking about making things better and securing things, hardening systems, etc. Looking for the bad stuff. Uh, So I think what I do for what I don't know what pays the bills is a quote unquote blue team role. But what I love about the spot where I'm at right now is that they have a very much defend forward, or our offense will be your defense. It's like you know when people say your best defense is knowing how the offense works.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I love that because all the other folks that I work with, they're whatever ex-military, ex-NSA operators that would used to be behind the keyboard doing real operations in the offensive mindset. But that's how we can spread more information and tell more people about, like, look at all these things that you're throwing money at, all these blinking boxes and bells and whistles. Hey, it can be bypassed. Let me show you how it's done, and
Mm-hmm.
let me show you the better way, and that sort of thing. So, I guess my position is more blue team than it is red team,
Mm-hmm.
but I think the red team is totally necessary.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And my first time hearing about it was like the whole red team, blue team thing, because I never. Like I've said multiple times, I'm not in cybersecurity, but I remember seeing it in the what was that, the Edward Snowden movie,
Oh yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I thought that was super cool how they have the offense and the defense, and I think that's the way they're actually still operating with this whole cyber war space, that's out there right now. Now, question for you as well. Bug bounties. Do you work with bug bounties, and I
Ooh,
know I'm throwing you off a little bit,
no, it's
but
good.
okay.
Uh, it's funny. I also a lot of the folks that kind of check out stuff that I do, whether it's the category of penetration testing, the category of capture the flag, or the category of bug bounty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Personally, I haven't been able to dive into bug bounty just yet. I don't know if I will. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to, maybe, but I'm understanding that that's going to be years down the line.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of finding time. It's just a matter of putting in, like, and making yourself actually do it. I know a lot of people that have incredible success in bug bounty, and hey, it's an awesome way to earn some extra cash. I haven't been able to squeeze it into my life just yet, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
someday. Are
Yeah.
you
So
in that realm? Do you kind of
nah.
follow, or yeah?
Well, what made me ask you that, I remember a while back watching a video about I don't know, guy became a millionaire by learning how to hack or something like that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he was talking about bug bounties. So, and I know a lot of cybersecurity guys talk about bug bounty and going after, finding bugs for a lot of these big companies, because I know they offer like programs and stuff. I've seen, and I don't know. I was just curious about it, if it was something that people
Yeah.
should look into, you know.
So I guess I will carry that then. So if anyone listening in has any interest in it, there are some fantastic programs. Bug Crowd is a big name. Hacker One is a big name. If you're maybe more on the UK or European side, Integrity, spelt with all eyes, gritty, all eyes. Um, those are fantastic. VDP or vulnerability disclosure programs or bug bounty programs, and you get pitted against a real application, like a real environment that an actual business and an actual company is putting out in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that means that they're probably, fingers crossed, if they're anything worth their salt, they're probably going to have some security protections and defenses up in place.
Mm-hmm.
So when people look at bug bounty, or at least when I look at bug bounty, honestly, I think it can get kind of complex. Like you really have to try hard, you really have to be stubborn, and you really have to maybe use some filter evasion or some clever bypasses. I have a lot of respect for the bug bounty folks because I feel like they uh, try everything and
Mm-hmm.
hope that something falls out.
Cool, cool, cool. So now, as far as I guess the position that you're in, as far as a security researcher, if someone was trying to get into that area of IT, where do you think they should start?
Mm. That's a no. It's an interesting question because like I can tell I guess my upbringing story, but I realize it's very different for a lot of different folks.
Yeah, it's
Um,
different in all areas
yeah.
of IT, really. So I know it's kind of
So,
open ended, but
no, I mean I can take it in a lot of different ways. I always tell folks, and this might be my bias, but I always tell people that capture the flag is one incredible way to learn, even if it's not strictly cybersecurity. If you want to focus on kind of a broad technical or networking or database, et cetera, any of the huge different realms and all the different corners of what our industry is, capture the flag is a way to make that learning really tangible, and it
hmm.
makes it a game. So if folks listening in don't happen to know, when I keep saying these words, capture the flag, it's literally like a sport.
Hmm.
It's like a puzzle. It's like a game that you play on your computer where you're handed a bunch of different tasks or a bunch of questions and activities, and you'll have to demonstrate that you can accomplish those tasks by finding the flag or some token or some key, like just a string of text that you can submit, and it demonstrates that you solve the problem.
Hmm.
Uh, but there's a scoreboard with all the other players. You can team up with your friends, and it's like, oh, how many challenges or how many tasks can I solve? So you get a little motivation, you get a little
Hmm.
encouragement, and you get exposed to so many other different technologies and stuff that I've always kind of advocated, and maybe I scream about it from the rooftops too much, but I think capture the flag is a great way to learn, and that's how I got my chops,
Hmm.
and that's I think what really led me to my role in a more technical spot, being on the keyboard and doing it for real.
Okay, so is it really like in Mr. Robot when they were uh when they were capturing the flag? It was like a
Yeah.
competition. Everybody
Oh,
playing
and
music.
yeah. I think there was one scene where they like go in like the basement of some building, and they're
Hmm.
like neon lights
Yeah.
going crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Now, um, I guess the next thing I typically roll into is that education piece. Cause you kind of covered my last question or the question that I was gonna ask before that, like keeping your technology skills current and stuff like that. So getting into that, the whole capture the flag, that's a way to actually help you. Now, let me ask you this: certifications. Um, what certifications do you have, and do you recommend for people that are trying to get into this
Oh boy.
area? And I know it's it could be a whole bunch of routes. You know what I'm saying? It's like that in every area of IT, almost. So go ahead
Yeah,
though.
I guess I have an embarrassing number of certificates. Like I think I have like it makes me feel weird when I have to enumerate or like list them because it sounds so cringy. I'm probably in the double digits for
Wow,
certifications.
wow, wow.
I went for Security Plus. I went for LFS, the Linux sysadmin cert.
Okay.
I went for PCAP, Python Associate Programmer one. OSCP, OSWE, OSWP, OSCE, a lot of the offensive security ones I enjoy, and a lot of e-learn security ones.
Hmm.
Um, so in my opinion, I really like the certification exams that are practical
Hmm.
and hands-on and application based, where they test you on your competency. Like, hey, what can you do? What can you demonstrate and accomplish in a real world environment?
Hmm.
Some of the certifications that are kind of high level, where here's a dump of information and you just have to regurgitate it in a multiple choice test. I, there's a time and place for those. There's no discredit or no shade thrown at them, but I really like when it's a hands-on thing because I feel like I learn much more. Um, so I, I I think Security Plus is a fantastic certification, especially for getting your foot in the door if you're learning about it. That's the very first certification I had from CompTIA. Um, and I think we had spoken a little bit before. You've chatted about A Plus and Network Plus and Linux Plus and others, right?
Hmm. Yep. I
Uh,
have. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, sorry, I was leading into you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have Security Plus and Network Plus.
Nice.
And yeah, and then that's kind of all I needed, because I think I remember you saying, like in a previous interview, that you worked DoD, did a little
Yes.
DoD contracting, which I've done as well. Well, I'm currently working DoD contract as well, and you have to have that 8570 cert.
Right.
So Security Plus is one of those certs that I had to get in order to get into government contracting. Um, but no, I definitely agree with you on the type of certifications. Like one of them that I was looking up when you first wrote it over to me, I was thinking about this actual cert that I failed a little while back, and I'm very embarrassed about this one.
Oh,
But I mean, it happens. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
But I took the Linux Foundation Systems Administrator
Nice.
certification.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but it's heavily performance based. They basically give you a virtual machine. You have to go in and just do all the configuring that they they require in the test. They'll give you certain tasks, and so that is a great way of people showing that they fully understand what they've actually learned by getting certified like that. So I definitely agree with you. Those performance based tests are, in my opinion, a whole lot better to demonstrate, that you do understand what you're going through. And I took that. I didn't take enough time studying for it, and I took it and obviously failed it twice. They give you a free retake. I failed it twice. Uh, I was I had just started a new job, and I was trying to transition through that. And once you purchase it, you have to have a year to take it. So I wasn't able to put in enough time to actually take it. I was like, oh, I got this. I've been doing Linux for a while. And
It surprises you.
yeah, yeah. Once I got in there, and you know the the um the proctor, is what, because you could take it remote. The proctor actually watching you, you know what I'm saying? It just, I don't know, it just messed with my head. And that kind of rolls into one of the other questions I was going to ask you. What was one of the hardest certifications that you took out of all
Ooh.
all the ones that you
So, I'm trying to think of a good way to the best way to answer this. I'm studying for one certification right now, which is the Offensive Security Exploit Developer, or OSED. And it's all about like really low level binary exploitation. Like, hey, can you take a program and can you find vulnerabilities that might lead you to like a buffer overflow, or something where you can take control of that program and make it do what it wasn't supposed to do.
Mhm.
But it means a lot of reverse engineering in like IDA Pro or Ghidra, or working in a debugger like WinDebug. And my test is in 2 weeks.
Oh man.
and I'm
Good
really
luck.
nervous because I feel like I'm in the same boat where, like, man, I haven't poured in as much time as
Yeah.
I'd like to. I don't feel like I'm ready. I don't feel like I'm prepared, and I'm getting pretty antsy. So
Mhm.
I think the hardest tests that I end up taking, and other certification tests that I've taken before, that's always the feeling, is that, like, man, if I don't feel confident about it going in, then I know then it's hard. Then it's just really rough. So uh, those are the tests where I'm like, man, the hardest thing is when I know that I didn't give this the time of day that I really should have.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're actually surprised when you pass when you some- when you pass it, because that kind of happened to me with the Security Plus. I did a
Yeah.
lot of studying, but I still thought I hadn't studied enough. And
Mm,
yeah, I was super surprised when I actually like passed it, and I actually did very very well. I think I got a,
nice.
yeah, 800 or something. I don't know. I
Oh,
can't
that's
remember the
awesome.
number, but yeah. Um, but
Have you
oh,
have
go
you heard
ahead.
much about, I guess, the CISP or the CISSP?
I've heard about it. I haven't looked into it.
Yeah.
I that's one of the Cisco certs, right?
I think it's ISC.
Oh, I
ISC squared. But from what I understand, that one is a pretty big, like managerial one.
mm-hmm.
It's kind of a high level, again, conversational, but it's one of the top notch certifications if you want to be a manager. Um,
Okay.
and to each their own, right? I guess I wanted to bring that point up for anyone that might be listening in, and that like if you don't want to do the strictly on keyboard, all the practical all that hands-on application based stuff, if you just kind of want to be able to like talk the talk and still lead people,
Mm-hmm.
you can totally do that.
Mm-hmm.
There are other certifications that let you do that, but they're different worlds. Whether you want to be an operator or if you want to be kind of just a manager and hanging out
Mm-hmm.
and being with people. So
Cool, cool. Yeah. I'm gonna look into that. Was the ISC? ISC?
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, ISC squared, I think.
Okay. All right. I'll definitely look into that. Um, now, one of the next things I typically go into is kind of like a controversial type of question.
Mm.
You hear it on, I mean, I've heard it in a lot of different interviews, but certifications versus degrees or
Ooh.
both.
Huh. So I'll tell the story, right? I went for my undergrad, and I went to the U.S. Coast Guard Academy where I wanted to study for my college degree, and I made it the 4 years of education, but they didn't like me all that much, and I didn't graduate. So
Okay.
I don't have a degree, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't have the piece of paper. I don't have the stamp or the receipt that says I suffered for 4 years, but I have the 4 years of education.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I was going for my first job, when I was kind of looking for, hey, how can I break into the industry, start my career? It was really, I was unsure of myself because I felt like I had to go to job interviews, and I was hoping that like, oh, will you please take a chance on me? I know I don't have certifications. I know I don't have a degree. Can I show you what I can do? And hopefully they'll still be interested. Um, they would take me on. I was super grateful that I got hired somewhere, but the first thing that they needed was like, John, go get your Security Plus, go get a
Mm-hmm.
certification. Um, I think I just say that to kind of lay the foundation for my answer. I think getting a degree or getting a formal education is a nice to have. It will definitely make your application for jobs much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is not necessary. There are still plenty of places that will let you come be part of the party, and it will bring you on if you can prove what you know and what you can do. Certifications help with that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's one great thing because you can demonstrate that merit and that competency. Um, so I would say if you're going for your graduate degree, if you're going for your master's or your PhD or any crazy insane things, look, you don't have to. It's certainly good. It really helps, but I would say it's optional for what you might want in the industry. Demonstrating and being what you can bring to the table is much more important, and certifications might help with that again, but not always necessary. I think.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah,
what
and
what say you? I
no,
guess.
I kind of agreed. The certifications, they do demonstrate that you understand what you're trying to do, as well as I always like to push GitHub as well.
Yeah.
People should start helping develop programs that are out there. That's another reason I'm like uh into the open source community a lot.
Yeah.
Just trying to help out with different projects and then create your own projects as well. And I know this doesn't necessarily it doesn't necessarily have to be security. It could be, you know, anything that you can add to your portfolio. If your I guess changes get added to the code, that I mean that demonstrates that you understand the code and you're able to modify whatever it is. It could be C, Python, whatever. Um, it just demonstrates that you know have a understanding of how to develop things. So
Absolutely.
I agree.
And you're just in the community with
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
One thing that I would certainly add to it, if I may, is like if you can show that you're kind of active or you're part of the conversation when people are doing security stuff, whether it's on GitHub or whether you have a website where you write write-ups or
Hmm.
blog posts and articles that you might write, or if you have a YouTube channel and you're putting out videos or you stream on Twitch or whatever, anything that shows that you're doing it, anything that shows that you're in the mix, that I think still shows a lot to a potential employer, because like, hey, this person lives and breathes this thing, it's their passion, they love it, and that's just going to make us so much better.
Yeah.
So that's definitely attractive, I think.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. So I guess let me give a couple shout outs right fast. I've seen a couple people
Yeah.
rolling in that I haven't shouted out. Good to see you guys in the building. Network bruh. I already shot you out earlier. Good to see you though again. Professor Black Ops, good to see you, man. I'm gonna ask uh I'm gonna ask one of the questions about Stigs. He's the Stig guy. So I don't know if you've heard of Stigs. Do you
The security technical implementation guides.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So when I was still kind of in the Coast Guard and kind of had more of my government military kind of upbringing, when we would go to exercises and training like ranges, cyber guard and cyber flag, I would harp on Stigs, and
Mm-hmm.
I would try and automate them for stuff that's like registry tweaks or simple configuration settings. I would always use Stigs as like, look, let's just lock down this machine. Let's get it hardened so we know we're at a good spot. And the Stigs were like that good baseline standard.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always a big proponent of the security technical implementation guides, and I would love to always kind of do more with them because I feel like that's a really strong defense
Mm-hmm.
for host hardening.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything that will automate the deployment of rolling out Stigs? I've seen stuff I think that can like check for compliance, but it won't enforce them. I guess,
Yeah.
are you in that world too?
I've seen it. I've actually been through a couple Stigs and not
Nice.
sure how much I could talk about it, but it was mainly for SQL servers. And
Yeah.
just hardening those, going through the whole process and just verifying that, configuration settings were set properly um, and I just went through that full process and made changes that need to be made, and worked directly with the people that were actually requesting us to do the stick. So you're right. I've actually thought about a way to automate certain things, like how it breaks out all of the requirements. Just automate some way to go through and check and
Yeah.
make those changes if you need to in the configuration. But with SQL is kind of finicky. So if you uh make a change, it could mess things up, in especially when you're talking about clusters, as far as failover clustering and all that. So if you make changes, especially when it comes to the SQL portion, you have to have a human actually doing it. I mean, some of it can be automated, because you could do a lot of automation through PowerShell
Right.
for SQL. So um, I've
PowerShell is awesome.
yeah, PowerShell is awesome. um, but yeah, it that is something I think, um, I guess that can be looked into as far as automation, as far as just they coming out with the standards, and then we got automate a way to roll out those standards to the servers at mass. So
Yeah, I mean, like you said, parts of it are still just going to require human interaction or just like a real person to be able to like sanity check, hey, is this actually right, is it set the way that it should be?
mhm.
But I if anyone takes a look at the Stigs themselves, they're lengthy.
Yeah, they
Like
are.
there's a lot of them. So anything that we could do to maybe speed up that process, I'm sure a lot of government agencies would really, really love
Yeah,
that.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, I went through a Stig one day. It took all day.
Oh
for
boy.
like 2 or 3 servers. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's crazy. But oh, shout out to Maddox. Good to see you in the building as well. Mitchell again. And that's it. But uh next thing I want to ask you, Linux. So how important is Linux in cybersecurity? And we all know about Kali Linux, but how important is it to understand Linux if you want to get into the cybersecurity field?
Awesome. I feel like you're gonna love my answer.
Yes.
uh, in my opinion, when you're getting started in either tech or security or again whatever facet you'd like, I think Linux and learning Linux is the most important.
Okay.
Like it opens up the door for everything else. It opens up the door for learning how to do some simple scripting. If you need to do programming, etc., or working with tools and technology that it works natively or it works a little bit better in Linux. It's just the foundation, and it's totally necessary. I would love to do more kind of as on my channel. When you mentioned, hey, John, I used to really like when you and I followed you when you were doing Linux stuff. I would love to showcase Bash scripting or like the Linux
Mm-hmm.
command line or the shell, but you see it everywhere. It's necessary in learning the command line, understanding how the tools work, navigating around the file system, knowing to go look at the manual or the man pages
Mm-hmm.
themselves. Uh, Linux is really what opened the door for me and started the snowball effect. When I was a kid, I asked my dad, like, "Hey, Dad, I want to have a website." So we said, "All right, John, well, you have to learn like HTML and CSS, and
Mm-hmm.
you can have a silly website." But then I said, like, "All right, Dad, I want to host it somewhere, so it's actually on the internet." So I was like, "All right, we'll get you a server, but the server is going to run Linux, and you're going to have to figure out how to use Apache or Nginx." Like, all
Okay.
right, well, now I gotta know, go and learn Linux. But I remember that is just what like opened the floodgates.
Mm-hmm.
Linux is really the best jumping off point and totally necessary.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Cause I don't know. I looked into getting into cybersecurity at one point, and it was mainly because of Linux.
Yeah,
I started out just someone introduced Linux to me because I was working as a systems admin, just managing Windows servers and all that stuff, and I started a position with a small company, and it was another guy, another system admin. That I became friends with, and all he used was Linux. He set up different ports of the network using Linux. He had the whole firewall for the network running, using a Linux server.
that's
Just
awesome.
managing the whole network and everything. And I was like, what is this, man? What are you doing? And all I seen was that terminal, up. And I'm like, man, yeah,
How
I
do you
don't know how
do
to
it?
use that. Yeah. And
It feels
so,
like superpowers. It totally
yeah.
feels like magic. So.
Yeah. So man, once he showed me a little bit, I got that Linux bug, so to speak, that just made me want to learn all the aspects of Linux. And because Windows is easy, man. Anybody can kind of pick it up because of the way they, the GUI of
Mhm.
everything, and it really hasn't changed much from, because like I started 2000 Windows Server 2003, and now they on
Yeah,
16, and a lot of everything is still there. It's still in the same locations. Active Directory users and computers. That's all. The group policy area. None of that stuff. It's all in the same area, and it's easy to just search the little start menu, find it, go through and make the changes that you need to make. And it's once you understand it, I guess, from a base level, then you got it. And it's the same thing with Linux as well. But I don't know. Linux intrigued me to the point where I just wanted to learn everything about it. So I'm happy you said that though. That Linux is one of the most important things in cybersecurity. So um, definitely, I agree with that. Now, um, can you touch a little bit on Cali, uh, and if you want to, if you want to,
Yeah, yeah,
grab the links.
absolutely. So if anyone were to go check out kind of my YouTube videos, or they look at my channel, or they say like, John, what Linux distribution are you using, or why does your computer look like that? A lot of times I am running Ubuntu,
Mm-hmm.
the Ubuntu distribution of Linux. That's kind of that's just what I use. When people say, oh, I want to start learning Linux, what should I do? And people suggest to them, go check out Ubuntu. it's
Mm-hmm.
it's because it's like the most like supported. It's got so much documentation, the huge community. It feels like Windows when you're
Mm-hmm.
making the transition from Windows to Linux. um it's just that it works as a desktop or laptop or fine operating system and Linux distribution. uh, and that's what I tend to use personally. But if you wanted to get more specialized or do something more specific and tailored to one specific thing,
Mm-hmm.
like in cybersecurity, if folks are doing a penetration test or if they're doing bug bounty or playing capture the flag, they might use Kali Linux because it's going to have all those tools, all of the programs, and all the utilities that someone might use for that offensive or adversarial work already built in and
Mm-hmm.
installed and configured ready for you. Um, Kali Linux is one option. Parrot OS is
Yeah, Parrot.
another. I hear Black Arch. There are lots of different variations and derivatives. Or if you went in like the malware analysis route, there's Remnux, and there's
Mm-hmm.
tons and tons and tons of Linux distributions. But
Yeah.
honestly, in my opinion, I just tend to like to install the tools and grab them as needed.
Mm-hmm.
But for folks that, hey, I just like to have everything kind of out of the box, Kali Linux is one great option and one great distro to use and try out.
Yeah, and I 100% agree because I mean you can create your own hacking Linux distribution using
For sure.
any Linux distro. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It doesn't have to be Kali. Um, it's just that's where a lot of people store it, like what you already said. But that's one of the most popular ones that's pushed. I guess in the media and not the media, but different organizations that push cybersecurity. They always talk about Kali, Pirate OS, and all that. So, have you ever used any of the Windows I guess distributions that I forget I think it's called
Yeah. Commando VM. Is that
Commando
the one you were
VM?
thinking of?
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I tinker a little bit, especially kind of in the malware analysis realm.
Mm-hmm.
While Remnux is a fine distribution to do that in Linux, in the Windows world, there's the Flare VM for doing that sort of analysis,
Okay.
or there's the Commando VM, kind of as you mentioned, for more offensive stuff in the Windows realm. I've played with them. Admittedly, I don't. It's not like I use that as a daily driver,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll have them up inside of a virtual machine, and I might play with them every now and again.
Okay.
Truthfully, I'm not in it all that much, but I think it's awesome and super cool that they exist. So
Yeah.
if anyone hasn't heard of those and you're interested, totally go take a look at the Flare VM and Commando VM.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, next thing I typically try to go into is programming. Now, what are
Yeah.
some of I guess, the areas of programming that people should look into if they're trying to get into cybersecurity?
Ooh. Okay. That's always a hot topic because people are like, man, if I want to go be a hacker, if I want to be a penetration tester or whatever, they say, like, do I have to learn to code? Do I have to learn programming? And
Mm-hmm.
the answer that I think we boil down to is that, again, no, you don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
but you really, really should.
Yeah.
It's like, sure, you can go down that path, you can go down that road, but if you don't know how to program and you don't know how to code, then you're just kind of walking. You're taking the leisurely stroll, and you're moving at that pace. You'll get there eventually. It's a little slow, but you're walking at least. If you can code, and if you're scripting or using whatever language that you like, and you're sharpening yourself in that, well, now you're running down that road. Now you have made yourself a little bit better. You've made yourself stronger, and you can keep cruising along even more than you had without it. So totally optional, but super duper good to do. I use Python the Python language for just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's my language of choice. That's my knee jerk reaction. Whenever there's a problem in front of me, I'll just try and tackle it with Python. And now I will say I am no means. I'm by no means a software architect. I'm not an
Mm-hmm.
engineer. I don't think I would be able to make an incredible application or design the coolest hot app. I can script and I can write code that will interact with a website over and over again to do SQL injection techniques, or I can carve out lots of data because I can script it in that way in Python. Uh, Python is my language of choice. I recommend it for a lot of folks because it's easy to read, it's easy to write, it's a hacker's language, is what they say. But really, anything that you are most interested in, if you want to stick with the scripting language, you're interested in Ruby or Perl or anything like that, or if you want a compiled language, yes, obviously learning C and C++ is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I know Rust and Golang are the new cool kids on the block.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I really like Go. I'll be honest. I
Okay.
wish I were smarter in Go. It's super cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I did a video a while back on Go. Is yeah, just showing people how to get started with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an introduction. But no, I agree. Python is like the, I guess the most popular, based on what I'm seeing, is the most popular programming language. But I look at programming as um, kind of like all of the other aspects of IT. And when it comes to cybersecurity, you have to have at least a base level understanding in order to protect it. Uh, Especially when you go into networking, you got to understand some networking, at least some Cisco systems. You got to understand Windows, Linux. I don't know if you agree with me, but
Yeah.
that's just the way I see it. I mean, you have to have a base understanding of all these different areas before you kind of hop into cybersecurity. I don't. What are your thoughts? What do you
No,
think the
I
same way?
absolutely agree. Like 1,000%. Uh, it's overwhelming a lot
Mm-hmm.
when people say, "Oh, I have to learn everything. Like I have to learn
Yeah.
cloud, I have to learn databases, I have to learn all this." Um, but no, if you want to defend it, if you want to protect it, if you're trying to secure it in cybersecurity, then you should know a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
something about it. So
Yeah.
programming is totally no exception in that regard.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we all are cybersecurity professionals, no
Oh
matter
yeah,
what area you're in. So, um, database, you have to understand security, and how to prevent people from doing the SQL injection attacks. You have to have that understanding so you can configure the databases properly and the application front ends to prevent that type of stuff. So, um, yeah. Now, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no. Sorry, I was agreeing with you. The stuff like the SQL injection bugs or any of those configuration issues, they're all top of mind. It's funny that when threat actors or bad guys or even penetration testers, like we're always going for low hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll try a payload and we'll just see if it works. We'll see if we get anything. We'll see if it. Hey, can we? If I pull that thread, how far will it go?
Mm-hmm.
If someone comes following, if we see something shiny and we know, oh, that's a potential lead, they'll stop everything else because they want to go tackle that. If it's low hanging fruit and if it's something easy, something like SQL injection, that could be a lot of damage,
Yeah.
right? So those are things that we are looking for, like bad guys, threat actors, cybersecurity professionals that do this. Uh, that's something to keep in mind.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Um, it was a question, and I don't want to. Oh, um, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think what
Oh,
I
you're
wanted
good.
to ask you. Oh, so what is a script kiddie? I hear that
Ooh.
term a lot.
So this is funny, right off the tails of our value of learning coding and learning programming conversation. Uh, so when people say script kiddie, they might be referring to someone that uh, is a little naive or a little interested in like really fascinated by the whole hacking and security thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll go find other tools or they'll go find other scripts, right, or
Yeah.
programs that other people have used, and they'll want to go use it themselves, and they'll try it, and they'll just press the go button and hope that it works, but they don't understand what happens when it goes wrong or
Mm-hmm.
why it doesn't work or what it might error, and they weren't able to change it or understand it or try and write it themselves. Uh, they just take off a external third party script, press the I believe button, and whatever happens happens. I think script kiddie is typically a negative connotation
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, hey, write your own tool, go
Yeah.
learn how it works or understand or and try and troubleshoot this thing on your own, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera, et cetera. And that's also the huge part of learning coding and learning programming, because if you use a tool and you see something go wrong, maybe you'll have the know-how and the understanding to go fix it and make it
Mm-hmm.
better and solve the problem for other people. So absolutely go learn and study and check out some programming stuff so you can get smarter on that, and don't be a script kiddie.
Yeah, yeah, and I've actually, I've actually been a script kiddie, just playing around, trying to learn some of the tools in Kali Linux, like trying to hack my own Wi-Fi, and
Yeah.
all I'm doing is hitting the buttons, you know what I'm saying, and and I really didn't understand what was going on, so I definitely agree with what you're saying. You need to understand what the tool is actually doing. Um, if you're gonna just use, if you're trying to use it for, so I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, most of the time it's exploiting a vulnerability, and so if you don't understand what is exactly doing, then you're not really doing anything but running someone else's code. So uh I don't know, maybe I'm not explaining that right, I don't know.
No, I think you are, and I'll make a quick note though, because I think it's important when you say like, oh, I mean, I used to be a script kiddie, and I was too, and I'll say like, I still consider myself like, I consider myself a
Hmm.
script kiddie every now and again, um, because I'll yank someone else's code and be like, hey, this works.
Yeah.
uh, I don't think there's anything wrong with that if you're like cognitively aware that like, hey, I'm learning
Hmm.
this whole thing, this whole process, all of this is so that I can learn and I can get educated and maybe smarter on something new.
Yeah.
So for a little bit of time, you might feel like a script kiddie,
Hmm.
but hey, I'm doing this so I can get better and I
Yeah.
want to learn more about it. So I would argue that. Don't beat yourself up if you feel like a script kiddie or if you were a script kiddie. Hey,
Hmm.
we all are and were and will be over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree. Well, that's pretty much all the questions I have for you. One thing I like to do is try to see if anyone has any questions from the chat, and I thought I seen something earlier. Um, as far as, have you worked with Puppet or Chef? For automation.
I
Uh,
have played with Puppet, and I'll tinker a little bit with Ansible or stuff like that. So
yeah.
the whole DevOps realm, I love, and I want to get so much smarter on, like stuff like Vagrant is I guess one corner and crevice of it, but between Docker and between Terraform and between Chef and Puppet, like you can do so much cool
Hmm.
stuff. Um, and when the whole idea of like infrastructure as code
Yeah.
or configurations and settings as code, like I put in the idea of security, right? Because if some company gets hit by ransomware and they don't have any backups, and they're devastated, oh my goodness, the business is gone, my lifeblood, everything that I poured into is totally destroyed. Uh, that's obviously super duper hard. That's obviously heartbreaking, and that's a whole nother can of worms, and we could talk about. But uh, there's also the issue when people say we got to burn it to the ground and just start over.
Hmm.
What happens to the entire network schematic, or what happens to what you had built as your understanding of what servers are where, what databases are where, the website, email, etc. Uh, if you have something like your Terraform scripts and your Chef and Puppet code and the Ansible configurations, if you have that saved, well, now you can redeploy your entire infrastructure at like the flip of a switch. So that's crazy cool to me. It's like you have your entire network schematic in your back pocket and it can fit in a thumb drive.
Wow.
Uh, I think that's an interesting idea. So I absolutely love Chef and Puppet, and I, if anyone's interested in that DevOps or infrastructure as code idea, totally go check those out. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. Now, um have you seen anything dealing with the whole scale agile framework um
ooh,
in your area?
um, I'll have to be honest. I'm not in the mix of the whole agile framework in that realm.
Hmm.
For I guess developers
Yeah,
or
it's
strict
mainly for
engineers,
developers. Yeah.
yeah, I know a lot of times my company Huntress even does it tries to keep up with that agile framework. So they'll have sprints and
Hmm.
they'll have a scrum or whatever to figure things out.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, I'm not in that world, but I know that it is. I know that it is efficient and it does
Hmm.
work well. Surprisingly, as much as we tend to poo-poo on
Yeah.
it, it gets the job done.
Yeah, yeah. And that's something we've been doing for the past year in my job. It kind of doesn't work because for my department, because I mean
Yeah,
we're mainly we're not rolling out new software all the time, or we're not rolling out new things. We're basically doing a lot of sustainment work, just keeping the servers, keeping the lights on, basically. So it doesn't really work for that area, but I do see the benefits in other areas that are pushing out, I guess, new applications and new things. Uh,
that's a really good point. I totally agree. It should be specific to
hmm.
software.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Now I seen something else. Hold on. Crap, don't freeze up on me. Oh, there we go. So someone asked, so what do you run for your battle station?
Ooh. I just recently bought a computer to build from parts that was way too expensive, and it was the first time I ever built a machine. It has like some unholy like 24 terabytes of hard drive space or like whatever 60. It's a Threadripper. It's one of the AMD Ryzen
Okay.
Threadrippers.
Yeah.
I have a monitor in front of me, another monitor in front of me, and another monitor in front of me. I run Windows on the bare metal installation with
Hmm.
virtual machines for Linux and Windows and Tails and Kali all as guests. But on my laptops that I still have, I tend to use Linux installed bare metal on the
Okay.
laptops. So
Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
it's just a nerd stuff. Way too much money.
Yeah. I got you, man. I just purchased a Dell server not that long ago.
Nice.
Just to I don't know, just to have something. Oh, and that brings up one of the other questions. Labbing. So you basically use your battle station for labbing, right? Like as far as
Yeah.
um, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, a lot of folks ask, "Hey, what should I have a home lab? What do I
Mm-hmm.
do for a home lab?" And my immediate answer all the time is yes, absolutely. But it doesn't have to be this incredible,
Extravagant.
complex, yeah, extravagant thing. Maybe I'm lame and that I just run virtual machines on my computer, but it works for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like if you want to spin something up in Azure or if you want to do something in AWS or DigitalOcean, you totally can. And maybe that works better for you, but you don't need to segment your house with different VLANs and then
Yeah.
dedicate whatever servers for a Wi-Fi spool or blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
You totally can if you want to. Uh, I keep it simple, and I would just keep some virtual machines and play and practice. That's the
Yeah.
gist.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was my whole purpose for, because like I used to want to, oh, let me get a rack and put a couple of servers on there, and um also I'm like, I don't, do I really want my electric bill to go up that high?
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I just got a small what is it, T140, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and just run a bunch of I install. Have you ever used Proxmox? Because I
Yes.
that's what I use. Okay, okay.
Proxmox is so good
Yes, it
and
is.
totally free.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's what I use to, I guess, run all my little virtual machines and containers. So it's super
Awesome.
cool. Yeah. Um. So it was let's see, another question. It was something about Cisco that I seen. Would you recommend the any of the Cisco security certifications or
Uh,
anything like that?
so I'll have to say I do not have any Cisco certifications or any Cisco training, and that's just me personally. So I don't mean to say like yes or no, and that you should or you shouldn't, just because I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, I would say if it's something that you're interested in and if it looks fun,
Mm-hmm.
then go for it and go try it. I think the biggest thing when people keep asking or they keep saying like, "Hey, should I go after this X certification or Y training, or should I look at Z job as a career path?" Uh, do the stuff you like. Just
Mm-hmm.
find something that you think is really really interesting and really fun, and that something that you're passionate about. Um, I sometimes I feel like that's a cop out answer because it's stupid, and I know it's very subjective for literally everyone, uh, but it's also the I think the best answer that I can give you is
Mm-hmm.
that you just want to go for the training and the certifications and the stuff that you are interested in
Yeah.
and you think will be good. So
Yeah, and I agree, and this is why I kind of always say that um you really never know where you're gonna end up when you get into the
yeah,
IT field. You can start off saying, "Hey, I want to get in the network," because that's exactly what I had in my mind. I went to uh, a 2 year degree. I went into computer networking, um, and I got an associate's degree. It was a little small associate's degree, computer networking. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get these CCNA certifications," and but once I started getting into jobs and like I got a systems administrator job, and I found out that I really didn't like any Cisco
yeah,
equipment. I didn't like playing around with it, man, at all. It's the just getting into the um I don't know, I just didn't like the equipment too much. And so I really enjoyed the server side stuff. And so you never know what you're really gonna like until you put your hands on it and start playing around with it and getting into it. And you may end up in something totally different, kind of like I did with the whole database thing. I never thought I would become a database administrator at
yeah.
all. So it's it's crazy. Yeah. So let me see. I think that's pretty much it. I don't see any more questions other than hold on. Um that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions for me or or anything
Well,
or
I mean, hey, this has been a ton of fun. This has been a real pleasure and real treat. I don't know for anyone listening in. This is the first time that like Keep It Techie and I have got a chance to talk and meet each other. So
yeah.
this has been a real I don't know, treat for me. And thanks so much for letting me come hang out with you guys and be part of the audience for a little bit. And so thank you
Yeah.
again and again. It's really been an honor to hang out with everybody.
Yeah, yeah, no problem, no problem. And shout out to everybody that came through. And also you should be able to see on the screen. I have up John's channel. So just make sure you guys go subscribe to him. If you're not subscribed to him, I'll put his link down in the chat as well. And follow him on all his social media. He talks about, he goes through cybersecurity, CTF, pen testing, all that good stuff. He has a lot of great information that he puts out there for people that are, to help people get into the field. And I think it's, important to support people that are, putting out great information that can help people. And that's why I try to bring them on, you know what I'm saying? And, um, and put people in front of, my small audience, you know what I'm saying? And just I don't know, just highlight people that are doing great things in the field. So definitely appreciate everybody for coming through. I thank you again, John. And can you hang on after this? I'm gonna end the stream in a second. But shout out to everybody that came through again, and y'all have a good day and keep it techie.